I and my fiancée planned a wedding with family and friends. Due to the stress of planning a wedding and my mom wanting me to invite cousins and their partners I haven't seen for years, or not even met, over my closest friends, we decided to have a very small ceremony in Europe, just us two. Family were happy with the live stream and threw a party when we returned. We decided to take one friend, each as witnesses. They're paying for themselves to come. This decision infuriated my mom and my two siblings. They felt betrayed and hurt they had been excluded from our plans. My mom told me that the decision had her crying and she feels deeply hurt. She made me apologize to my siblings for the decision, which I did. I understand why they'd feel hurt. We planned a post-wedding celebration with all the family and friends when we returned from Europe. I thought this was a nice compromise. Mom said that we acted thoughtlessly and that there were patterns of thoughtless behavior recently. My fiancé has unintentionally hurt my family by blurting things out or being unorganized with time. She apologized immediately when this happened and was incredibly upset at herself as she makes a lot of effort to be loved by my family and has done a lot of good for them. My mom, on the evening of the fallout, posted pics of my autistic sibling on her social media, saying how proud she is of them, not using their disabilities as an excuse. Although it could have been a genuine post, given the context of the fallout, it felt like another jab at my fiancé. My fiancé blocked my mom to avoid seeing posts that were upsetting a decision I supported. My brother texted me a few days later saying my fiancé blocking my mom was childish. He called her manipulative for being upset in conflict, despite her ADHD and emotional regulation difficulties. I defended my fiancée and said that I won't allow her to be punished for mistakes she's made as a result of her ADHD, that she has already apologized for and held herself to accountable for. My brother then blocked me on all social media weeks later. We've not been in contact ever since. It's been months. My fiancé was recently diagnosed with ADHD and has been referred for an autism assessment also. Although ADHD isn't an excuse, it's an explanation for occasional blurting or poor time management whilst newly diagnosed. To bring these back up and labeling them as thoughtless really hurt my fiancée. She struggles with elements of socializing and has made a lot of effort with family. I tried to explain calmly to my mom how she had upset my fiancé. My mom responded by saying, "If you think I don't have empathy and understanding, then that says a lot about what you think of me." Alongside this family conflict, my fiancée was a victim of SA last year. Her case is now with the police. My family doesn't know, and it is unrelated. Naturally, this police case has taken priority, and I am doing all I can to support my fiancé. Between being strong for my fiancé, with the weight of estrangement with my family is exhausting. I go through days thinking I have overreacted regarding the family conflict, or that I'm not doing enough for my fiancé. Constantly doubting myself. I haven't been to work for weeks and it feels very lonely. Just a note, I am now in therapy and on meds for depression. Just feels as though I can't make anyone happy, whatever I do. I just want to be the best I can be for my fiancé, but finding myself still thinking about my family. I was told my mom is being emotionally immature, which is really jarring for me as I have idolized her my whole life. She raised us as a single mom. I really valued her opinion. It's hard when things turn out not as you expect.
Next up, mother-in-law refuses to visit her grandchild.
People can be selfish and have a meltdown when you don't do everything exactly their way. Then turn around and call you selfish. My mother-in-law is incredibly controlling, and every time we don't go along she said we are controlling. We live 8 hours from my in-laws. They visited us 2 weeks after I gave birth. After a huge fight and making the first 2 weeks postpartum absolute hell, due to screaming crying because she had to wait 2 weeks, they visited again 2 weeks later. And I guess at that point they decided not to visit without communicating that with us. They always expect us to read their minds, and then get upset when we don't act in accordance with their secret thoughts. They feel that it's up to us to visit them now. My husband doesn't really get along with his family, so we didn't bother. They weren't ever invited, lol. My mother-in-law was largely fine because my sister-in-law and her kids lived with her. I figure she got enough baby time that she was okay ignoring our daughter. We were fine with it too. Until last week, her middle-aged daughter finally moved out, and all of a sudden we are making a statement by not visiting the person who hasn't visited our 1-year-old since she was a month old. My husband said she can visit us anytime, or we can meet in the city where her father lives. BC, we visit there fairly often. She said if you're trying to control visits, that's concerning. Like, huh, lady? She won't see us unless it's at her house, but we are controlling? Even our visits to the city where her father lives seem to be purposefully staggered to avoid us so she can continue to complain about us. I try to self-reflect and see if I am the problem. I don't see how. She can be too much.
Next up, mother-in-law thinks it is her son's responsibility to obtain divorce papers from her ex-husband.
My mother-in-law reached out to my husband today asking for assistance in getting in touch with her ex-husband, so she can get the divorce papers from her previous marriage. My husband immediately told me of this, and I am thinking to myself that my mother-in-law is a grown adult. She should go and get these divorce papers herself. When my husband asked her why she wanted these divorce papers, my mother-in-law refused to answer his question. I immediately thought that she was doing something shady. My husband and I wondered, why would she want these divorce papers? And then it dawned on both my husband and I that my mother-in-law's boyfriend is currently on a visa to live here in the United States, and that his visa might be expiring soon, so he might have to move back home to Africa. So my crazy mother-in-law is trying to find a loophole to keep her boyfriend in the States by marrying him. She probably did not want to tell my husband because he would give her a lecture about how bad of an idea this is. This guy is probably going to use her for a green card, then leave her. I honestly don't know how her boyfriend has put up with her so long. If I was the boyfriend, I would stay away from her. Sorry, I need to vent. It's extremely frustrating dealing with this lady.
Next up, mother-in-law does not respect boundaries.
My husband and I have now come to the conclusion that his mother doesn't respect the boundaries we've put in place. So she is only to see our child when my husband is home. But she is still trying to cause drama. She has been messaging me non-stop saying that I don't send photos of my child to her because I hate her, and I'm trying to keep my child away from her. I told my husband and let him know that I didn't feel comfortable messaging her because she belittles me. If she wishes to get photos of my son, my husband needs to send them to her, which he has, but she keeps messaging me constantly, and I told my husband that I think that I need to cut all contact with her when he isn't home. My husband agrees and has talked to his mother multiple times, but she's just not taking no for an answer. She has even taken it as far as messaging my sisters and friends, who she has only met once. I honestly don't know what to do anymore. My husband has told me if I want to cut her out my life and my baby's life completely, I should, but he can't. And when our baby is old enough, they can choose if they want a relationship with her. I'm literally at a breaking point when it comes to this woman. A few people have been telling me to block her, and I've already blocked her on all social media and any other ways in which she could contact me before I even shared this post. My family and friends who she also contacted have also blocked her.